It's definitely a hot one tonight. All right, so everything that I've been doing so far was I took a piece of mild steel and I wrapped it into a U shape. And right now I'm just setting a high carbon piece down the middle. Essentially, I'm making a sandwich out of steel. But that high carbon layer is going to get forged down. Everything's going to be forged welded together. It's going to be solid. And so eventually, as that tapers down and we grind away that mild carbon steel on the outside, we're going to expose the high carbon, which is going to give us a great edge. This is 1084 high carbon steel run down the middle. I'm using a piece that's about 2 inches by 3 inches and a little over a quarter of an inch thick. So now I'm just going to come over to the anvil with my hand. I'm going to make sure that all my welds are set. Everything looks to be pretty good. One of the things I'm looking for, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but how the steel's cooling down uniformly. If one end of this or one of these layers was a lot darker than the rest, that would mean that we're not, we have a little bit of delamination and we're not solidly welded. But so far, it looks great. I don't need to keep on fluxing it, which is what that white powder was. That was sodium tetraborate. The reason why we put that on there is to clean the surface of the material. But where a lot of guys go wrong is they think that flux is some sort of glue, that's some sort of magic welding powder, and it's not. It helps you. The other thing is, a lot of guys really smack their welds really hard. You don't need to do that. It essentially will, cause delamination, will cause that steel to flow apart. So just cleaning up this side of the steel just to get rid of any grooves so it looks like all one piece. I have a couple of different ways I can go with this. And I think I may try to open up this eye just a little bit early on in the game, just so I can get a really good hold of it with a certain pair of tongs. Then I'm going to run it under the power hammer to draw it out some more. A couple of different ways we can try to open this up, but I'm just going to go for the simplest. So essentially, I'm going to use the step of the anvil here. I'm just fitting along the pole area. But you see how that just opens up. So now I can use these tongs right here, and without fear of them getting stuck in the eye. Oh, looks like there's another viewer. Welcome. Just another hot Sunday night here at the forge. I was thinking about coming out around 5 o'clock today, but it's still about 90 degrees. I just want to get that deeper into the forge. Want to make sure we're getting a nice, consistent heat. With how thick this steel is, I mean, we're dealing with essentially, it's about 2 inches by 3 inches by 3/4 of an inch thick, almost an inch thick. Um, so we've got a lot of mass there. So we really want to make sure we're letting it soak. That way, the heat goes all the way through. Those of you unfamiliar, the way that I'm telling the temperature of my steel right now is by looking at the color of it. In the blacksmithing game, there's a whole bunch of hurry up and wait. So the reason I ran it under the power hammer is because, a machine is a lot more consistent at hammering than a person is. And I really want it to all be the same thickness as I'm doing this. It's not that, it's not that I can't do it by hand. I've done it by hand for, 20 some odd years. It's just I build a machine to do it, and I'm going to use it. Normally, when you're doing production like this, you're working on a lot of pieces all at the same time because it's really, even at 185 bucks when that sells, it's really not worth my time to just work on one. So I'm just going to go back to the power hammer one more time on the opposite side. So that's looking really uniform now. You can see that in the camera. So next I'm going to put a separation in, or a step. It's basically going to separate the eye from the big and the blade. I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the sharp edge of this anvil here as another tool. I apologize. I have to use my DSLR this week. My camcorder decided to die on me, so every half hour the DSLR wants to shut off. It's just annoying. I have to go hit a button and bring it back online. So I'll mark this out. You can kind of see that mark there. You can definitely see it now. Bring it over to this camera. Essentially, that little notch right there. That's what we're trying to get in there. I really can't wait until winter. Hey, howdy, Anchor's Ridge Forge. Nice of you to join me. I left my iced tea up at the house, but at least I remembered to bring some beer. Whew. At least it's not as humid as it was 2 days ago. So I don't know if this shows up on these cameras here. It's a little hot yet for the camera. I'm going to run this one more time under the power hammer. Then I'm going to switch hammers, and I'm going to start spreading out our blade. It's about another 30 seconds or so to get some heat on there. Actually, while that's doing that, I'm going to grab a wrench really quick and tighten this die down. Sometime this week I need to redo the whole die system on this hammer. I'll cover your ears, kids. It's about to get a little loud. Cool. When things like that happen, ignore your instinct to try to catch whatever's falling. So if you notice, I'm using a nice, totally different shaped hammer than the French feet that I was using. Uh, you know, basically with this really nice rounded end here, I'm going to be able to spread that steel out. So what I'm going to do is come in here right along the edge. So the method that I'm using isn't going to elongate our steel. Instead, it's just going to take that and it's going to fan it out. So I want to make sure that I'm hitting it from both sides equally. When I'm just forging a knife blade, it really doesn't seem to matter. You know, it's so thin I can easily nudge it from one side of center to the other if it's a little off. But when you're dealing with this much thickness, it's just better to try to bring it down nice and gentle and equal on both sides. also want to make sure we're cleaning all this crud off the anvil. This next scene here, we're going to switch over to a lighter hammer. I'm just going to clean up everything that I've been working on. Sure, it's a lot different watching this live on Twitch as compared to watching it on the History Channel where they're editing all this shit out. Wish some of our days were that fast paced. So, before we get too off on this, I really want to take this top curve. You can see how that's curving up. I want to get that out of here. It's about 20 seconds more. When I'm teaching classes, people always ask me, how long does this take? And I just kind of throw out arbitrary numbers. The, the whole thing is, there's really not any set time. I mean, it really depends on the thickness of your material, what kind of action you're doing, how long you're, spinning the heat. Just so many different variables that you can't say, well, it's going to take exactly 12 seconds for this to happen. There we go. Now that spine is straight. So we're going to do another pass under the power hammer. And then I'm going to grab a mandrel and we're going to clean up this eye. Oh crap, I broke my daughter's street chalk. I'll have no fury like a 5-year-old girl. And just in case I need a second one, I don't really have a style in mind that I'm going for right now. I just really came out because I haven't worked solo in the shop in a few days, so it's just nice being in here and the only person asking you questions is yourself. So we'll let that get some more heat on it. This is actually our first Twitch stream, so I'm looking at the TV mounted up on the wall here, and I'm really noticing a lot of, there's a lot of lag. I'm using some IP cameras, so they're not hardwired into the computer. I really think when it's in the budget, we replace those 3 cameras above me. Yeah, we'll replace those with some cheap HDMI camcorders. Then everything will be in sync. If I had the extra $250, we'd get one of those Elgato Stream Decks. I could just change scenes with a push of a button instead of having to run over to the computer. See if we can get a little bit more fanning out of this. Some of this I can go ahead and clean it up with the grinder. But if you clean it up on the anvil, you don't go through as much money on belts. Always get asked, what's the most expensive part of this? Quite frankly, it's belts. I mean, once you buy all your initial equipment, it's those consumables that you're going through. Fuel's a pretty constant, but depending on what you're working on, man, you can really start tearing through belts. At $4 to $12 a belt, I mean that can really start adding up. I mean, out of a bar of steel, I can get 9 knives, but I sure as hell am not getting 9 knives out of every single belt that we're using on the grinders. All right, quick run under the power hammer, and then the eye. Really, after that, it's just a little bit of cleaning up. I'm going to end up posting this to YouTube later, so I know I have a lot of students that uh, take have taken the tomahawk class or are interested in the tomahawk class, and they wonder how long it's going to take. Well, here you go. I'm at about an hour and 5 minutes. We give you 9 hours in class. I'm not even hurrying up on this. I'm just taking my sweet time. So that looks great. Got a really nice thistle taper going down the entire length of it. Oh, time to reset that camera again. I think I'm really going to have to try one of those, cheap, like $45 Chinese camcorders. This is a forge. It's not like someplace that you want to be putting a $5,000 camera, or a $1,000 camera. 45 bucks sounds like it's a really good price that if something happens to it, I can buy another. I don't have to let my $700 Nikon sitting here in the shop. Make it a rule, though, to never change lenses while I'm in the building here. So first, I'm going to come through the bottom side, and my mandrel is actually teardrop shaped. So here, I've gotten part of the way through, but before it cools down too much, I want to knock that mandrel out. Drop that through. This is a mandrel. It's not a drift. The idea here is that we're using it for shaping this eye, cleaning this eye up. So there we go. Now we just need to come back through from the other side there. Open that up, and then we could straighten it out. Switch mandrels here. This one's cool. That looks about perfect. I'm going to knock this mandrel onto the floor. Get rid of that hammer. Now I'm just giving it some nice, light corrective blows. Just kind of straighten everything out. Now, get rid of that mandrel. That eye looks pretty darn good there. I like the profile. We're going to go back into the forge another time here. And I'm just going to clean up anything that looks a little rough. So even though this is our very first Twitch stream, and we've got a bunch of, I've done a bunch of YouTube videos, and this is actually going to get cross-posted to YouTube. But I really think that I'm going to try to make this a every Sunday night and Wednesday night thing. I don't know. I may have to rethink that because we do get, I have classes every weekend, and sometimes class isn't done, and at least every Wednesday. Wednesday, I know I have the evenings free, so I think I finally found out my daughter's school schedule, so that's a good thing. 2020 has just been really messed up, folks. Of course, you all know that. It's just really tough when I'm trying to schedule things and there's really no way to do it. We had to shut the shop down for 101 days, and just trying to get everything going again is it's just been so tough. So there we go. That looks great. Just checking out my dimensions. The bottom has a little bit of a thick spot, but I mean it's really like I'm nitpicking on this. So I think we can let it go. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a really nice soak. While that's happening, I'm going to fire up our electric heat treat oven. Even though you can't see me, what I'm doing right now is I'm setting this up so that uh, just a single cycle anneal. 50% of our steel here really doesn't harden at all. Uh, However, it's at 1084. And my next step is on Wednesday night, I'm going to take this to the grinder and I'm going to clean up the entire profile and then the sides of it. Once I get all that done, then I can go ahead and I'll run the heat treat. Really, that's maybe 25, 30 minutes worth of work. So I'm going to have to figure something else out to do on Wednesday night. So if anybody has an idea in mind of a forging project that they'd like to see, by all means, leave a comment. So I'm just giving this steel a nice soak. The other thing that we could do is just a normalization cycle. I just don't want to be, burning through discs or belts when I don't have to. I guess before I leave for the entire for the rest of the night. So there's our forge welded tomahawk, looking pretty good. Whew. It's nice to be able to turn that off. So essentially, what I'm going for is this blade right here. You can see it in this camera. I guess I'll bring it over to the big screen. But something along those lines. Still gonna keep it on the rustic side, which is nice. It means I don't have to sit there and polish. Uh, but this piece is going to have a little bit more mass behind it, which is really what I want. I mean, I like this. I like this original one. This was a prototype that I did, but it just didn't have enough. It didn't have enough ass behind it. When I was splitting some camping wood, I really kind of wish there were just a few more ounces of weight. Uh, so there we go, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Those of you that did periodically on and off here tonight. This was our very first Twitch stream, and it was. I think everything went pretty well. Uh, Now I just need to come up with a schedule, and yeah, I think Wednesday nights are definitely a good night for it, and maybe I can con my buddy Jeremy into joining me on Fridays in here. For those of you on YouTube watching this, by all means, join us on Twitch. Check out Underhill Forge. I'll go ahead and I'll post the schedule here once I figure out what's going on in the next day or two. And I guess I'm going to have to post this to Instagram. For those in other media, follow us on Underhill Forge at Instagram. Obviously, Underhill Forge here at Twitch and also on YouTube. Just You'll find us on Facebook, but don't expect any replies because I haven't done Facebook since 2016. But well, thanks again, guys, for watching, and I'm gonna sign off. And I hope everyone has a great week.